welcome to another round of the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. This weekend we're in a very sunny Donington Park. Now for the first time ever, our drivers are gracing the GP track here, which is going to add a bit of spice to this weekend. Now race 1A is about to get underway and Stephen Fodden has put it on pole. So we're going to hand it straight over to Andy McEwen to run you through all of the action.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, Steve had a successful weekend here last year. He's started off again now exactly where he left off with pole position. Joe Wiggin is alongside him. Then the top two in the championship, Will Blackwell-Chambers and John Langridge, share row 2. Ahead of Charles Mugglestone and Ollie Graham. Great qualifying efforts from the pair of them. Likewise, David Waters and Jason Greatrex on row 4, ahead of Dave Turton and Adam Bessel, rounding out the top 10. Then it's Alan Hawkins and Seb Fisher, Lewis Cannon and Matt Pollard. And then the rest, 32 cars set to tackle the Donington Park Grand Prix circuit in race 1A. This is only half of the grid. As ever, we have our B grids coming up a bit later on, and we'll have the usual promotion and relegation spots up for grabs. Red lights out though, away we go for the first time here at Donington Park. Foden makes a good start from pole position. Wiggin though not so rapid away from the outside of row number 1, so Blackwell-Chambers comes up the inside into second place, and John Langridge is trying to follow him through as well. I don't know whether Joe Wiggin will be able to close the door. We're on board with John Langridge, the points leader, as we go through Redgate Corner for the first time. He's got the inside line, and Joe Wiggin, as much as he'd like to hang out around the outside and try and get back in front of John Langridge, I don't think that's likely to happen. They're still wheel to wheel though, and this is allowing the top two to pull away slightly. Wiggin and Langridge still toe to toe through the Craner curves, and then that looks as though it's Charles Mugglestone going up the inside into 5th position, having briefly dropped behind, I believe that was Dave Turton, who started 9th on the grid. Right then, Langridge is now into 3rd place. Thumbs up to Joe Wiggin. Let's work together to try and catch the top two. Donington Park, possibly more than any other circuit we race at, will reward good slipstreaming. If you can get away in that lead pack, then that will really, really improve your chances of getting a really good result at the end of the race. But you've got to be in that lead pack, otherwise you run the real risk of falling too far back and then having to contest for positions lower down the order. On board with Adrian Burge now through the right-hander at Coppice, up at the top end of the circuit, down the exhibition straight, side-by-side action in front of us there, which we're going to try and join in with, I'm sure, down the straight. And now we turn left into the chicane rather than right, because we are, as I said, on the full Grand Prix circuit this weekend. Adam Bessel there going around the outside of Dave Turton. Bessel, winner earlier on this season, remember, at Anglesey. Looking to try and get himself back in towards the top 5 running this weekend. Langridge, though, is ahead of Blackwell-Chambers. Look at that, Langridge has gone into 2nd place, and now Wiggin goes up the inside of him into 2nd position as well. So it's all chopping and changing behind Steve Foden, the race leader. It is all kicking off with Joe Wiggin really starting to make progress now, as he so often does. He's on this remarkable winning streak, remember, Joe Wiggin. 5 out of the last 6 races have gone his way, and the race he didn't win, he was still on the podium. Wiggin now, though, trying his best to go after the race leader as they head down towards the Goddard's hairpin for the first time. It is Foden from Wiggin, from Langridge, from Blackwell-Chambers, your top 4. Definitely having an effect, and it looks like the yellow flags are going to stay there for the duration of the race now too, so that will be one less overtaking opportunity the drivers have, but Steve Foden very shortly will be looking for overtaking opportunities, I think, as he's almost there now. He's bringing Langridge with him, though. Langridge has had a better lap this time around, so the top 3 are almost back together again now. To the final turn, Goddard's, this very tight left-hander. Foden takes a nice wide line in look, because he knew that he was far enough ahead of Langridge that he didn't have to defend from him, so he could take the wide line in and really focus on the exit speed. But we're going on to the final lap of the race now, so has Steve Foden got enough time to do this? He's caught Wiggin. Now he needs to try and find a way past him. He will probably only get one chance at this as well, because if he goes for a move and it doesn't work, then he'll spend the rest of the final lap defending from Langridge behind him, who is close enough to take advantage. So Foden, he really doesn't have any championship points to worry about. He's just out there for the best results that he can get, and he's right with Wiggin now as they go through the old hairpin. He's going to have a chance. He's going to have one chance, and it's probably going to be into McLean's, the next corner, through Starkey's, the next left-hand Kinkish Schwantz curve. That sets you up for the right-hander at McLean's corner, and surely Wiggin will defend to the inside line, which he sort of does, goes down the middle of the road. Steve Foden, I don't think, wanted to fully commit to the inside there. He gets a better exit, does he? No, can't get up the inside still. Was that his last chance? Will he have another shot down into the hairpins, maybe? Oh, Langridge really closing in on Foden into Coppice corner. 3 cars then, as one, with about a third of a lap still to go. Traditionally, we will be heading down into the final corner of the race now, but we've got that extra run down to the Melbourne Loop, which is by far and away the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit. And if Steve Foden can get a really good exit from this chicane, he might be able to force Joe Wiggin into a mistake. He's certainly forcing him to defend. Down the hill they go. Language to the outside. Which way does Foden go? He's sort of stuck in the middle, really. As long as Wiggin doesn't run wide at the apex, which he makes absolutely sure he does not, then it looks as though he might be able to do enough to hang on. In fact, Language has a go at Steve Foden instead. Language alongside Foden for second place into the final corner. These would be some very valuable championship points for John Language, but he's on the outside line and cannot afford contact here. Foden up the inside line. Oh, locks up. Language goes out wide. That was almost complete calamity for the championship leader there. Joe Wiggin will hang on to take his 6th victory from the last 7 races. A remarkable mid-season run of form for Joe Wiggin. Second place goes the way eventually of Steve Foden by just under 0.2 of a second, with Language third and Blackwell Chambers losing 4 championship points there to his big rival, only 4th at the flag. Rounding out the top 5 was Adam Bessel. Matt Pollard came through to finish in 6th ahead of Seb Fisher and Jason Greatrex. Dave Turton gets a good top 10 finish, with Oliver Graham rounding out that top 10. Oliver was actually given a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. Charles Mugglestone was next, then David Waters, Jack Moody, Jack Rawls and William Hayden rounding out the top 15 runners. We had one non-finisher, Pete Tyler. Lewis Cannon was disqualified, so they will automatically be relegated, along with Ollie Attard, Adrian Burge and Doug McGregor.
I don't know about yourself, but I was on the edge of my seat watching that. I didn't know what was going to happen when you came back around to lap.
I was on the edge of my seat as well at the end. Thanks again to Eco Trailer, CN Science, Tucker Motorsport, my mum and stepdad for all their help. Steve got into the back of me at the last corner, and we had a touch, and I thought it was all over. I thought it was going sideways, but managed to just hold it, and we got the win, so that's all that matters. And hopefully here's for a couple more podiums.
Well, fingers crossed we'll have you back. So starting on pole for the next round, is there anything you need to do technically to the car?
No, just need to get a new engine, but that's not happening until the end of the year. So, we're in track position again. I'm going to make it a race and let them boys play behind me.
Fantastic. Right, well, hopefully another win comes this afternoon.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Thank you.
Race 2A is about to get underway here at Donington, and we've got Joe Wiggin starting on pole position. Now, John Langridge, who is currently leading in the championship standings, is down in 3rd with Will Blackwell Chambers, as you all know, the previous 2 years championship winner, starting right behind him. So this is going to be an interesting one to watch. We're going to hand it straight over to Andy to run you through all of the action.
Thanks, Lindsay. Yeah, the result from race 1 forming the grid for race 2 then. So it is Wiggin and Foden on the front row, with Language and Blackwell Chambers once again sharing row 2, but the other way around this time. Bessel and Pollard are on row 3 ahead of Seb Fisher and Jason Greatrex, then Dave Turton and Ollie Graham to round out the top 10. Next up is Charles Mugglestone and David Waters ahead of Jack Moody and Jack Rawls, a pair of Jacks on row 7. Will Hayden's on row 8 with Fraser Fennick, then Charlie Rawls and Alan Hawkins, Nick Ledoyen and Ollie Jenkins to round out the top 20. Michael Close is 21st on the grid, set for some more close racing, I'm sure, with Ian Blake alongside him. Clive Chisnall and Callum Greatrex next. Then our 5 promoted drivers from the B race are Ollie Allwood, Jack Brewer, Matt Luff, Martin Tolley and Marcus Bailey at the back of the grid. So for the second time this weekend then, the A grid is underway at Donington Park. A good start made by, well, all of the top 3 or 4 drivers really. We're on board with Martin Tolley. They're 5 abreast in the midfield, but I think they might have been 3 abreast for the race lead there. Down into Redgate corner, Wiggin gets the inside line. Blackwell Chambers goes right round the outside of everybody though and gets into second place and nearly snatches the lead away. So Blackwell Chambers has a really good start there, gets into second place. Language down to 3rd, and Steve Foden will slip all the way down into 4th place. Bessel and Greatrex side by side for 5th, but Will Blackwell Chambers is rather fired up, I think, this afternoon. He wants to make sure that he takes some of those points back out of Language. Remember, he lost 4 points to Language after the previous race, so 8 points separate them now in Langridge's favour. So Blackwell Chambers needs to try and do something to redress that situation, if at all possible, in this second race of the weekend. So on board with Steve Foden then, up towards the top of the hill at McLean's, looking back at Adam Bessel then. We're running in 4th place at the moment, right on the tail there of John Langridge, and we know that Foden's got good speed this weekend, so he'll be looking to try and get himself another podium finish if it's all possible. The field screeched their way through Copper's Corner, the Avon tyres being given a real work over here on these cars as they head through the high-speed right-handers at the top of the track, then back down towards us, and Will Blackwell Chambers has to defend from John Langridge, who immediately pulls up to the outside to attack for second place. He won't go right round the outside there, but again, by forcing Blackwell Chambers to defend to the inside, he opens up the possibility that he'll get a better exit than Will, but actually, they came off the corner fairly equally on that occasion. Foden then still in 4th place, but Adam Bessel looked really late round the outside on the brakes, really late on the brakes, and might just have been able to get past at least one of them, maybe 2 of them. We'll try and find that out in a moment or two. Towards the back of the field, there's Graham Rumsey. He's dropped down a few places, and then behind him was, by the looks of it, that was Marcus Bailey, I think, wasn't it? No, Ivan Leary was the man right behind him, I think. So out across the line, then we go. At the end of lap number 1, it is Wiggin that leads the way. Blackwell Chambers a few car lengths behind him because, of course, Will is sort of more preoccupied with keeping Langridge at bay than he is going after Wiggin, but really he needs to try and win this race if he can, Will Blackwell Chambers. He now has 1 win less than Joe Wiggin does. Joe now is clear as the most winningest driver of the season. 6 victories for Joe, 5 for Blackwell Chambers. So Will definitely will have one eye on Joe Wiggin as he continues to just creep up onto the tail of these 2 in the championship race. It's probably coming a little bit too late in the championship for Joe Wiggin, but nonetheless it's been a stunning run of form, and if he does stick around in the championship for next year, which it sounds like he's considering, if he's thinking about sticking a new engine in the car for next year, then he is almost certainly going to come in as arguably the championship favourite, really, when you consider this is still his first season of racing MX-5s, whereas the likes of Blackwell Chambers and Langridge have been doing this for several seasons now. Chance, I think, that Michael Close might be able to get himself out of the relegation zone, but it's all very, very tight further back in the battle for what is about 28th place for the 28th place back. Looks like it will be the relegation zone, which would make sense with the 32 car grid, I guess. So those bottom 5 finishers, or the first 5 non-finishers, could end up getting relegated, and Chap Brewer nearly did get into the side of Mugglestone. I think he might have done, because Mugglestone, I think I saw getting sideways then. And that, I fear, has ended in tears. Yes, there's no sight of Mugglestone there in the background. We're on board with Martin Tolley, looking back at Dave Turton and Jack Rawls, who are side by side again. And Jack looks like he's going to retake this 13th place now as we go on to the final lap. But Charles Mugglestone, I fear, has found himself off into the gravel down at the chicane at the hands of Jack Brewer. And I think that may be discussed post-race, because that looked a little bit avoidable. Joe Wiggin, though, not a scratch on his car, because he really hasn't had to work too hard to win this race. There's no such thing as an easy race victory, as I'm sure he'll tell you, but once he made that break after the first lap or so, he really hasn't looked back. He's over 2 seconds clear, which in Mazda MX-5 racing terms is an absolute age. We very, very rarely see races won by more than a second or so at a push. Usually it's tenths of a second separating the top couple of cars, excuse me, but Joe Wiggin in dominant form at the moment, and this second win of the weekend. He did win all 3 races at Snetterton, remember, back in June. To go, 2 months ago, I should say. So is he going to be able to do the same again here at Donington Park? Well, he's well on his way. Hand back out of the cockpit again to warn the drivers behind of the yellow flag, which they, I'm sure, will all be aware of anyway, and he doesn't really have to worry about them taking advantage of that situation either. The yellow flag is there because Charles Mugglestone's car is indeed in the gravel trap, so he's out of the race. Joe Wiggin, though, is only 2 corners from home now, and a 7th victory of the season, a 7th career victory as well, therefore, in this his first season of racing in the MX-5 Championship, and his 7th victory in the last 8 races. This is phenomenal stuff. It's also going to be his 10th podium finish of the year as well, as Joe Wiggin, once again, will take a couple of points out of his big title rivals. It may be too little too late for the championship, but my word, he's certainly putting on a show. Joe Wiggin takes the checkered flag. What a familiar sight that has become in the middle part of the season. John Langridge comes home in 2nd place, nearly 3 seconds back by the flag, with Will Blackwell Chambers a further couple of seconds behind him. They will be your podium finishers then. Ollie Allwood is 4th, Jason Graytrex 5th, Steve Foden 6th, Matt Pollard, Ollie Graham, Adam Bessel and Seb Fisher will round out the top 10 finishers. Allwood arguably driver of the race there, came from 28th to finish 4th, set the fastest lap as well along the way. David Waters and Martin Tolley just outside the top 10, whilst Jack Rawls got the better of Dave Turton in their private battle. Then it was Matt Love. Jack Brewer was disqualified for that contact with Mugglestone, by the way, so both of them will be relegated, along with Graham Rumsey, Thomas Jenkins and Ivan Leary.
Joe, again, congratulations, but are you not a bit bored driving around by yourself?
It never gets boring when you're winning. So, thanks to the team, Tiger Motorsport, Eco Trailer, CN Science, and everyone else that's helped out. And my missus and my little one, that's for them. They've come up here today to watch, and I know they didn't like the first one, but hopefully that was a bit less stressful for them.
So you're putting on a show for the family?
I wouldn't say that, but it's nice to actually do it in front of them. So, we've got one more race, and nice to get 3 wins, but I'm just happy with a podium, really. It's all we come here to do is just to get trophies, and to be the first one crossing the line, I'm over the moon, really.
Don't blame me. Well, congratulations again from us, and we'll see you in the final round.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Race 3A is about to get underway here for the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship, and we've got Joe Wiggins starting on pole position. Now, the current standings, if I am correct, John Langridge has just pipped Will, but this young man has racked up enough first place podiums. He might become a freeway battle in the end, so it's going to come down to this last race and the final weekend at Silverstone after this one. Just to point out as well, Andy, if you are watching, that's a big black cloud coming. So I'm going to hand it straight over to you to run through what happens in this race.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, yeah, as if there wasn't enough spice in the mix already, a bit of rain would really potentially turn this race on its head. Here's how they line up for it then. Wiggin on pole with Langridge alongside, Blackwell, Chambers and Allwood sharing row number 2. Keep an eye on Ollie for potentially a race victory here. Greatrex and Foden row 3, Pollard and Ollie Graham on row 4. Adam Bessel looking to make progress from 9th on the grid. He's got Seb Fisher for company. David Waters and Martin Tolley are next, ahead of Jack Rawls and Dave Turton, looking to resume their battle from race 2. Then Matt Luff and Marcus Bailey. With the rest filing in behind, we have gained onto the grid for this race Adam Craig, Michael Nibbs, Adrian Burge, Lewis Cannon and Bryn Griffiths, the top 5 finishers from race 2B. So, 10 points separate Langridge and Blackwell Chambers in John Langridge's favour. Wiggin is now, as I said, continuing to creep up. He's 52 off the championship lead, though, and needs more race victories. Well, he's going to struggle, I think, to hold on to the lead here at the start of race number 3, because Langridge is quicker off the line than he is. On board with Adrian Burge. Up the inside comes Lewis Cannon. This is right at the back of the grid, and he's got a grandstand view of the other 31 cars piling into Redgate Corner together. There's Michael Close, the white and grey striped car in the middle of it all as well through Redgate Corner, but it's Langridge that might have just got the race lead away from Joe Wiggin. They're wheel to wheel down through the Craner curves. John Langridge knows how important it is to try and get ahead of Wiggin here in the early stages. Oh, he's sideways, the championship leader, almost in big trouble as he came through the left-hander, and he is now in big trouble because he's on the outside line. Allwood goes through into second place. Greatrex was almost alongside, but hang on, where did Greatrex go? All of a sudden, Jason seemed to slow on the exit of the corner, and Blackwell Chambers comes up to challenge. That could have been a lot worse for John Langridge. He only lost 1 position, but a big sideways moment on cold tyres down at the old hairpin rarely ends well, and he did really well there to hang on to 3rd place. Ollie Allwood, though, living up to my pre-race prediction, is well and truly up for the fight here. He's right onto the tail now of the all-conquering Joe Wiggin. Back of the field, it's all going on as well, but it's Wiggin that leads the way. Allwood 2nd, Langridge 3rd, Blackwell Chambers 4th, Greatrex in 5th, and Adam Bessel appears to be in 6th position. Wiggin, though, leading the way. Allwood looking to try and challenge. Down into the chicane they go. Blackwell Chambers there looking to the inside of Langridge, can't get through. On board with Clive Chisnall now. We're going around the outside of somebody into the chicane. Can we make that one stick? No, back up the inside goes the car we were trying to overtake. We're now all over the grass as well. Very, very close indeed going into the braking zone. That might have been the 32 of Callum Greatrex there that he was racing with, I think. Melbourne hairpin. Oh, it's all kicking off. There's a car stuck in the middle of the road. Michael Close with some cat-like reflexes there to avoid it. Oh, it's Will Hayden. Will Hayden's gone off, and I think it was Fraser Fennick, the blue car, that he tangled with. Both of them hopefully will be able to rejoin, but neither quite in showroom condition anymore, those cars. Right then, so Joe Wiggin survives a bruising opening lap to lead the way. Ollie Allwood 2nd, and then Langridge and Blackwell Chambers. Never have they been separated by many positions on the track this weekend, but it does seem to be Langridge that, generally speaking, has the pace over Blackwell Chambers, so if he can beat him again, he would open up an even more comfortable championship margin, unless, of course, Will has been able to find something between races 2 and 3, maybe some setup tweaks, maybe he's just sort of got his head around the track and the car and the conditions a little bit now. Staying with Langridge for the time being, but it's early days yet. We're only on lap number 2. If I were Will Blackwell Chambers, though, and I realise this is easier said than done, but if I were Will Blackwell Chambers, I would be looking to get past Langridge as soon as possible, try and disrupt his rhythm, and that is what he's trying to do. Ollie Allwood, 2 wheels on the grass, but that's the outside line for McLean's corner. Can he do it? Can he go right round the outside of Joe Wiggin? He might be able to. He's got his nose in front, but the next corner is another right-hander, and he has to watch out because Jason Greatrex is there too. Greatrex could get the race lead out of all of this. He goes to the outside as well. Wiggin and Allwood are still side by side. Less than half a lap to go. Down the exhibition straight they go. There's yellow flags at Coppice, but that's okay. There was no overtaking at that corner. Hand back out of the cockpit though for Wiggins. The yellow flags must stretch all the way down the straight. They're still side by side though. How do you sort this one out? Allwood up the inside into the chicane, breaks later, takes the race lead. Ollie Allwood goes through with just 2 more corners to go, but he's been in front at this point before, and then on both occasions has lost the lead at the very next corner. Dives to the inside line to defend. Wiggin ducking and diving all over him. Jason Greatrex is part of this as well, and Joe Wiggin goes on the inside over the curb. He retakes the race lead. A phenomenal move from Joe Wiggin. You'd think that he'd be happy with 7 race victories almost in a row, but he wants the 8th victory, and he's back in front as they go up the hill, and Jason Greatrex might actually have got alongside as well. In fact, Greatrex leads by a nose into the final corner, but Wiggin has the inside line. Greatrex is sideways, and that allows Allwood back through. A phenomenal battle, a phenomenal race, and a phenomenal 8th victory of the season for Joe Wiggin. Brilliant stuff. He fended them off somehow and takes the checkered flag. Allwood is 2nd, Greatrex is 3rd. Now who is 4th? It's going to be Blackwell Chambers, but is Langridge going to hang on to 5th place to the flag? I think he will. He just about manages it and only loses 2 championship points to Blackwell Chambers. They will be separated by just 8 points going to the final round of the year. And breathe, everybody. What a race that was. Wiggin, another race win, but one of the hardest fought of the season so far. Allwood 2nd, Greatrex 3rd, whilst Blackwell Chambers takes 2 championship points back out of John Langridge, who still manages to get a top 5 finish with Bessel, Love, Fisher, Foden and Ollie Graham rounding out the top 10. The fastest lap, by the way, went to Jason Greatrex, so he gets the 2 bonus points, and we only had 2 non-finishers, Bryn Griffiths and Michael Nibbs, whilst Charlie Rawls was disqualified. What a race.
Joe, that has actually gone down in the history books as one of the most fascinating and intense drives of all Mazdas. How does it feel to walk away knowing that you came first?
It's always good when you win. 3 out of 3 at Donington. I love this track, and I didn't think I'd win any on Thursday, so testament to the team, Tucker, Eco Trailer, CN Science, my missus, my family, everyone, you know, and to the BRSCC Mazda for putting on a great race, and especially to Ollie and AB and Greatrex, you know, what great, clean, fun racing at the front, and a respect to them because we all gave each other enough room, and, you know, fair play to them.
I wish you could have heard the commentators. I think they were about ready to pop. What was your favourite moment in that?
Probably the last lap, so, you know, it was a move, so, you know, but race and respect from them all, so that's probably the best bit, is that everyone actually raced cleanly and fairly, and I can't fault anyone, so.
Fantastic. We'll let you go and enjoy this win. Congratulations again.
Cheers, thank you very much.